Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. While we are discussing the topic about Hidayat, last time we have discussed very important and very essential four ingredients, or rather, if I can say, possibly that four wheels of the vehicle on which we can drive on Sirat al-Mustaqim, and without any one wheel of that vehicle, we cannot drive on Sirat al-Mustaqim. And these were Iman and Taslim on one side, and along with that, Hidayat and Taqwa. If there is no Taqwa, there can't be, it means there is no Hidayat. Hidayat is available, but it is not being availed of, it is not being practiced. So Hidayat and Taqwa go together, and Iman and Taslim go together, and without Iman and Taslim, even Hidayat and Taqwa, they become meaningless. And without Hidayat and Taqwa, even if one claims Iman and Taslim, it is no use. So therefore, we had seen last time, we had concluded that Hidayat, that Iman, Taslim, Taqwa, Hidayat, these are the four, it's the four-wheeler without which we cannot drive on Sirat al-Mustaqim. This was just to recapitulate from the lecture which we concluded last time. We will now be looking at another aspect of Hidayat. We have already discussed some of those elements, but we will be looking at some remaining elements about Hidayat. Nafs as a living being, since I've already discussed this, I will not take much of time on this, and I have been submitting that there are different meanings at different places and different nuances of the word nafs. And as an example, we have already discussed some of them, and now I'll just be presenting before you the different aspects of nuances. Maybe you have different meanings, you have different understanding, but these are some of the meanings. And nafs as a living being, the focus is now that how Hidayat has to work and where it works. The most important element on which it is to work is nafs. And nafs has different aspects. It has different nuances. And we had also seen that nafs works through options, waswasa. It works through waswasa. And in cases, it gets ispar. It gets sure. So it is very important to balance the nafs, wa nafsim wama sawaha, how to balance it so that it doesn't start flying, it doesn't start racing, it doesn't start running with the ispar, which it gets through waswasa. And at that time, Hidayat has to be there to control, to maintain, and that works when there is a balance in itself, the nafs itself, and it can even balance the shuhan nafs, the ispar of the nafs. It is where it works, and if it works properly, that makes the difference whether nafs is lawama, it is amara, it is mutmain, and it is through Hidayat that we balance that set of social genes, which is perhaps the nearest interpretation or understanding of nafs, that Hidayat balances the nafs so that it is able to work with the waswasa options which it is getting when you're opening computer. There are a lot of waswasa, there are a lot of options available to you, And in some of those options, there is spur, there is a kick that one is lured to go to those, for example, websites rather than the one which was in fact planning. So it is here that if there is Hidaayat, and if there is Hidaayat, it will not work. If there is taqwa, ittaqullah, if it is there, then at that time, that is in fact the most crucial time where it has to work. And if it doesn't work, it means there is some problem with the nafs, that it is not accepting. And it is the shuhan nafs which is dominating. And when it dominates, then it might become, in the beginning, it may be lawama, there may be some debate, discussion within the person himself. But if it loses, then the nafs takes over, it takes the amr, it takes the control, and it starts ruling the person, and he is guided, he is controlled, dictated by the nafs. But here we are just trying to see that what are different types or nuances of nafs. Nafs as a living being, nafs as breathing, occurring, driving agent, and there's another meaning, nafs as the aspiring agent. There are very important aspects of nafs without which one cannot work even. This is the driving force, the aspiring agent. Nafs as stimulating or kicking agent, which provides the spur or whip. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a system in which there are options available and one has to balance it. And that goes through the world, in the worldly environment, in the secular environment. Man has been created in the worldly environment, in the secular environment, in which, first of all, it was the religion, it was the scripture, it was the revelation, it was the guidance from God that man was provided. Man did not know anything. And Allah says that Allah has provided you the ilm which you, before that, you never knew. You didn't know that. The first guidance, the first hidayat was provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the human beings. Shuhan nafs, the spur of the nafs, we have already mentioned this. And then there's not only the working of the nafs in individual sense, but there is at the collective level also. It has effect at the collective level also. Collective thinking. And collective, what is collective thinking? Collective thinking is the world view, that how this cosmos is operating, how this world is working. If that world view is affected, then we have seen in history that even the greatest civilizations, they went down, they failed. And we have already failed, and we are passing, our journey to the bottom has not yet finished, because our world view has been affected. And the starting point in the corruption of the worldview is shirk. And we started with shirk. Then the kufr intensifies. The controlling power, the controlling factor which controls the kufr from spreading, from multiplying, from becoming intense, is the system of uluhiyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Singularity. Allah's unified system, the unified system of law in the universe, unification of law. That there is one lawgiver and all other laws have to submit to his law. And that is the state of uluhiyat, wahdaniyat. if that is corrupted, then one doesn't feel any problem in committing kufr. When the center point of the center point and the concept that there is one lawgiver, all the laws have to submit to that one law. Today, scientists are working on the unification theory, that is the unified law, that there is one law. There are not four fundamental forces which have already been accepted by Vatican, even Muslims accepted. But now they are finding out the law, one law, that is in fact governing even these four fundamental forces. So if the thinking at that collective level is affected, that means that the world view of the people has been affected. And its litmus test is that where shirk is being committed, how shirk is being committed, constituting a polity, a nation, a people, as a community, as a polity, as a country, who have a system, legal system, social system, cultural system. If that shirk has entered those systems, it means it has affected the collective thinking. And when it affects the collective thinking, it means it affects the world view. Today, we don't believe in the physical world's laws, the physical laws, the universe, the world of cause and effect. So there are two aspects. I've already mentioned that, but here we are trying to understand it with reference to the collective thinking. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking in plural, Rabbukum alam bima fi nufusikum. But at another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using anfusakum. So the difference I've already mentioned. Nufusukum is within one's own self, within one's own nafs. Fi nafsika, within your own nafs, how you are thinking, how you are being controlled by the shuhan nafs, how you are being controlled by the waswasa of the nafs. And if they have taken the control, the Hidaayat is failing to manage it, to provide the right, to keep you on the right path. And in the collective sense, individual character at the collective level becomes culture. If some people, a group, are working as a group on that pattern then becomes culture. So collective conduct becomes culture, and here, wherever it has been used in the sense of collective culture, it has been used in anfusahum. And when it is being used about the internal thinking, it is used as nufusakum fi nafsika, for example, as individual, fi anfusahum. I will, I think, mention one ayat where I'll try to explain this anfusahum again. This is in the collective sense, anfusakum, collectively in the culture. But this will become more clear in another ayat which I'll place before you. When people collectively leave the path of Hidaayat, leave taqwa. These are some of the ayat which I'm placing before you just for comparison and understanding. But in this ayat, I may slightly explain the difference between the nufusakum and anfusakum, and explanation of anfusakum may perhaps become clear. Fatubu ila barikum, faktulu anfusakum. When Musa alayhi salam came back after 40 nights to the people, he found that they were worshipping a calf. At that time, a law was prescribed. Musa alayhi salam was given a law that if they promise, if they commit tawbah, if they give an affidavit before the court, in the modern sense, when the courts bind somebody that I will not do this, I will not repeat this in future, then he provides an affidavit, he provides a bond, and he seeks forgiveness that whatever I have done is wrong. I believe that it is wrong, and I promise that I will not revert to this wrong. I will not commit this wrong. And he gives an affidavit, he gives a bond in which he commits that I believe that the thing which I have done is wrong. And then he commits that I also commit that I will not repeat it again. So he gives an affidavit and he gives a bond. But here it has a broader meaning that he has to perform tawbah. And that is before Allah. He is the judge. To that judge, the greatest judge, the highest judge, the highest Supreme Court, before the man has to submit that affidavit and the bond that I will not commit it again. If they do that, it's okay. But if they don't do that, then in that case, the penalty is death. Death penalty. Faqtulu anfusakum. And here it may be clarified that it's not that wherever this ayat appears, then anybody has the authority to pull out the sword and kill a person. No. There are certain maxims in every legal system. There are maxims in Quran also, which govern. There are general clauses in many countries, for example, besides constitution, besides laws, for example, penal code, there is one law which is called the General Clauses Act. There are general laws. There are maxims. You must have seen very voluminous books of Roman law which say Roman maxims, maxims of Roman law. It has to be subject to the due process of law. Illa bil haq. Every law in the Quran, every injunction in the Quran, every order in the Quran, every ordainment in the Quran has to be applied bil haq, with haq, due process of law. It has to be applied with due process of law. And when you apply due process of law, then you have to be very careful in understanding each and every word, its construction in the sentence, its syllables, and everything, not only in that word, in that context, in that ayat, but in the entire context. Now, in this ayat, when it says anfusakum, there is a great law which has been prescribed. One or two ayat before this ayat, when Musa alayhi salam is asking them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells there that these people, and Samri also tells that these people had seen, the people of Musa, Samri, they had seen the other people, the locals who were living there already, other people. They were not the people of the Qawm of Musa. They were worshipping the idols. So when they say them worshipping idols, they say that we were lured, we were attracted. So we thought that we should also have some idol. So we carved out. Somebody said that I carved out this idol. They were different people. By saying anfusakum, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is restricting the law that Musa alayhi salam had the jurisdiction only and only over the people, his people. Anfusakum, your own people in the collective sense, your own people. You have the jurisdiction over your own people who have committed this. On them, this law will be applied. And that law, under the maxim of Quran, will have to be applied under the due process of law. And subject to the condition that if they give the affidavit, they give the bond, and if you are satisfied that they will not come back to this, then you forgive them. Otherwise, there's a death penalty, and death penalty not for the entire, all the people living on the earth, but those on whom you have jurisdiction. If this anfusakum was not used, if only it was said that faqtulu, everybody, then Musa alayhi salam would have been under compulsion, under order to fight even those who were not the people of his qawm, who were living in that vicinity, in that neighborhood, who were committing shirk, who were worshipping idols. And by seeing them, Samri was lured, and these people were lured, and they had adopted that practice. So here, in this word, by using this word, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is limiting its application to the people of Musa alayhi salam only. In every law, when you make a law, the first line in every law, in every act is that how this law will be applied. Whether this will be applied to all the people, to all the provinces, to all the states, or which will be applicable only to the such and such states or such and such territories or such and such people. There in every syllable, in every word, there is a great depth in Quran. So the point here, which we were discussing, but since the ayat came, I tried to explain justice in contrast, what is the meaning of anfusukum and anfusahum. But the point was that the Hidaayat, when it works with taqwa, and it works not only in individual, but it works with the people also at the collective level. So what was the great purpose of Hidaayat? Why Hidaayat? Why should we get Hidaayat? Why we should work with Hidaayat? What is the great purpose, grand purpose of Hidaayat? The grand purpose of Hidaayat, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself has said, is to take you from the darkness to the light, to put you on that path and that way, on that road which leads to light. From darkness, it drives you to the light. And the vehicle has to work with all the four wheels. If any wheel is not working properly, if there is any problem with that, and if it is the problem in the driving, in the prime mover of this vehicle is the nafs. And the prime mover has the systems also, other driving systems which are required. It has the prime mover, it has the differential, it has the clutch, it has the brake, it has the steering, it has the spur, it has the shoe. The grand purpose is to take you from the darkness to the light. We did not create those circumstances where we could ultimately take the world out of the darkness to the light. In a limited sense, as Ummah of that time, those people who adopted this Hidayat, who accepted this Hidayat with taqwa, and they submitted with tasneem, according to the Iman, the agreement which they had made with God. What is Iman? Iman is that you agree. When you buy an app, a software, before you can commission it, before you can activate it, asks you, do you agree? Click it. If you click yes, I agree that this system is good and I want to work with this system, I accept this system, that is Iman. If you have clicked Iman, yes, I agree, then you have submitted, now you are working with that, then it will take you from the darkness to the light. And initially, when Muslims worked with that, they came out of the darkness. They came to the light. But at that time, again, because we went into shirk collectively, the collective, in the collective sense, and collectively means in the majority, in the environments of the society, in the collective behavior of the society, in the collective culture of the society, our progress stopped. But Muslims had by that time provided the foundation. Ibn Sina, although he was rejected by Muslims, he had to run for his life, but his books were available. Even today, the Europe, which started with that foundation on medicine, they are still working with that. Ar-Razi, who provided the ilm, who provided the foundation, although he was blinded by continuously hitting on the head, but his books survived, and those books were taken by the West and they started working on it. Although Kindi was killed, but his books survived, his concepts survived, and the West translated them and took the journey further. Although Ibn Rushd was spitted upon, he was bound with the pillar in the mosque, he was humiliated, but his books survived, and Spain, Europe, they made further progress on that. Our progress stopped because after these incidents, these are not just a few, many incidents, then generally when thinking in the Muslim society became a blasphemy, it was banned, philosophy was banned, mathematics was banned, the progress of science, any progress of science cannot take place without mathematics. When these things appeared, people stopped thinking. And those people who took these books, there are thousands and thousands of books of that time, of the period of Renaissance, in which people have quoted from the work of the Muslims. Professor Briffaut, he was a French professor, says that we see that the world civilization, humanity was waiting for one person to bring the light, to take the people from the darkness to the light, and that was Muhammad, peace be upon him, the mercy of the world. And they started working on that, and they brought about what they don't know. They didn't pick up this word from Quran, but Kant proposed the word enlightenment. Enlightenment. People came from darkness to the enlightenment, and then other revolutions took place. These are the ayat that if one works with this vehicle, then the vehicle will take from these darkness to the enlightenment. We usually translate it as light, but in fact, some authors I've also translated it as enlightenment. To take the people from the zulumat to the enlightenment. Now, this is the grand purpose of Hidayat. But if Hidayat is not taken, now we have covered how much? Half an hour, I think more than half an hour, so I think I'll quickly conclude it. If Hidayat is not, why Hidayat is not impacting? Same book is available. Quran was available at that time also, when people started fighting among themselves. Everything on the basis of religion, everything. Although the first civil war, the first fitna which took place in the initial days of spirit of Islam, a survey was conducted in Kufa, in Basra, as a social science. And people at that time, the historians at that time, Muslim scholars at that time, they found that there are socio-political reasons for this unrest against Ali. But still, we gave it a religious color. They conducted survey in Kufa and Basra, and they found that out of the population of about 130,000 in Kufa, about 100,000 people are jobless. They are young. They are single. There is frustration. There is depression. They need employment. They need jobs. But we didn't look at all these social sciences, and we stuck to only one thing, that was totally religious. Ahl Bayt, Sunni, Shia, and all these explanations and fighting on that, leaving aside all sciences. Prophet, peace be upon him, then came to Medina. It was Yasrib, the city of diseases. He got the survey. There were 1,500 people at that time, 1,500 houses at that time. And he started a social program. He even built parks, gardens around Medina, where people could go out, they could have entertainment, social life. He cleaned the city. And there are very detailed instructions, detailed civic instructions and civic steps which he has taken. We have removed the subject of civics from our studies. Till I think 1965, when I was in the school, there was the subject of civics. Civics used to be taught, but now there's no subject like civics in these schools. I'm talking about the schools. Why Hidayat is not impacting? Nafs working in Qalb, Sadr, we have mentioned, I've discussed these things. I'm just here exposing that why it is not, the driver who is driving this vehicle, the driving force, the prime mover, why it is not working properly? It is not working properly at the level of Qalb and Sadr. Qalb, where the information is processed up and down, and Sadr, where it is intelligently sifted. Sadr is the center of the intelligence. It is not one spot. It is a composite spot, brain, heart, mind. Even on the heart, Russians are the first to discover that heart has an independent neuro center. This is Sadr. Word Sadr has been used, the upper portion, including heart and brain. This is the center of intelligence. So I think I stop here, because this will take us to another subject. So we are leaving it here. that why Hidayat is not impacting? Because the driving force, the prime mover is not working properly because its qalb and sadr, they are not processing the information, that is Hidayat, the instructions which are given to it, they are not being properly processed so that they could be accepted and so that the nafs could be directed with atminan as the nafs al-mutmainna, or at least as nafs al-lawama on that Sirat al-Mustaqim. Subhan rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك على كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, purify our heart, strengthen our faith, increase our knowledge, and make us benefit from what you have taught us. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj and our daughter Aisha Wani and the others who are sick. Oh Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect us, and make us righteous. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren who are suffering and under oppression. Oh Allah, grant them victory, protect them, and fulfill their need. Oh Allah, we ask you every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Shahzado bhai.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you very much, brother.
The voice is not cutting off, is it?
You are correct. It's excellent, excellent.
Wonderful. I must say this is a very brilliant presentation on your part. Jazakallah khairan. I have just two questions I'd like to ask you. But before I do that, it is very interesting, and I would, no pun intended, it is very enlightening that you brought the term enlightenment, that was the Renaissance period, the word that came in through the Westerners. In light of that, really, and I've been doing so before also, Zulumat to Nur, the way I look at it as from ignorance to enlightenment. Normally we see darkness to light, but enlightenment from ignorance, that is not knowing anything better, to enlightenment where you can see clearly. That is truly an appropriate translation, which brings in the broadness and the breadth of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means by from Dhulumat to Nur. That's one thing. Secondly, the question is, I know you put it, Faqtulu anfusakum. I have absolutely understood the difference between nufusakum and anfusakum, but that's a subject to be discussed later. My question is, and this is simply a suggestion, or I don't know what to call it, on faktulu, is it possible that the word faktulu here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying metaphorically, you people, in other words, your people, kill yourselves, the selves of the sword that have done the thing that they have done. In other words, this is not a command that physically kill yourself, but sort of metaphorically kill the selves that you currently have and come up with a better anfus kum. Is it? I mean, could one look at that, or are you saying that no, this is an ordinance to physically kill?
First of all, thank you very much for your very kind words, which I don't deserve. You always try to help me, to encourage me.
Oh
I'm
my God.
thankful to you. And then your add-on, rather a clarification, a very excellent clarification that from ignorance to enlightenment, from darkness to light, and from ignorance to enlightenment. Thanks for that. Now, so far as this is concerned, the last point is concerned, it is not metaphorical. Allah knows best, Allah knows better, Allah knows everything. But whatever Allah has given me to understand, I am very clear on this point that this is not metaphorical.
Okay.
At most of the time, are mystical people who have translated Quran, and they have made it mystical, mysterious, so that it is unimplementable. Everything which they have not understood, they have interpreted as metaphorical. Here, right, Musa alayhi salam, in the entire context, if you see, Musa alayhi salam was given commandments for physical implementation in a society, in the socio-political, economic sense, and he did that. In the desert, he established a desert camp, which we can say in today's words, a transit camp, a refugee camp. He established a camp where he established only one tabernacle, only one place of worship for all the 12 tribes. But he organized them as 12 tribes, each one having a separate municipal utility district. He established courts. He established schools. He established markets, I'm repeating the word markets, and even a system for sale, purchase, and your slaughter, or spots, specific spots for slaughtering the animals. Here we slaughter animals on Qurbani, on Eid al-Azha, in every state, in every house. He organized a society. The commandments were physical, for physical implementation. And the construction of this ayat also shows that it was in the physical environment that this had to be implemented as a penalty of death, but subject to the overall maxims of law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where he says, Illa bilhaq, you can't kill any nafs without evidence, without proceedings, without due process of law, without its proportionality. You cannot give collective punishment. In this ayat, the laws are given here. What Israel is doing today in Gaza, he's giving collective punishment under the international law, under the law of the United Nations, under the Charter. It has 4 aspects. And these 4 elements are separate from each other: genocide, massacre, ethnic cleansing, and collective punishment. These 4 aspects, 4 provisions are under the international law, are crime under the law of the criminal court. In this law, because of the interpretation, people have, even Muslims have been interpreting as a collective punishment. It is not a collective punishment, and it is not metaphorical. it is a civic, civilized way of, first of all, holding an inquiry, interrogation. Musa alayhi salam, first of all, held an inquiry. He started systematically. He started from the leadership. Here we tolerate the leadership. We exclude the leadership. We provide immunity to the president. The president, if he commits any wrong, he is immune. But Musa alayhi salam, first question he's asking Harun, why it happened? What were you doing? This was the starting point of inquiry. And then he went to the second layer of inquiry. He asked Samri. All the details are not even in Quran, but these are available in Torah. These are available in history. When we correlate it, we find that as a system, Musa alayhi salam implemented these commandments. Inquiry, then in a systematic manner, evidence. He asked people and then segregated people, and he provided them the opportunity so that they give the mercy petition, they can give the affidavit, they can give the bond, they can offer tawbah, and then after that, if there was, and we don't find anybody, if anybody was killed, because Musa alayhi salam, when we returned, I have not been able to find, maybe anybody has found, that all the people, they offered tawbah. All the people, they went through the process of law, the due process of law. And he did not pull out the sword. It
Well,
is.
thank you. As I said, it's a brilliant presentation, and I'm glad I asked because I learned so much more, and it's relevant to what is happening currently. My other question, and I know it's taking a bit long time, and it's important. The four wheels of whatever electric car or whatever it is that we are driving on Sirat al-Mustaqim, which were necessary and should be sufficient. I was just wondering if there is a certain order of it. I know that Iman comes first, but I'm confused between the taqwa and the taslim. Can you throw some light on, does taslim comes first or does taqwa come first? And I'm not asking that question lightly.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for, in fact, enlightening me so that I go deeper into it. Thank you very much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used taslim, mentioned taslim along with iman. So therefore, in my view, immediately after iman comes taslim, because at two places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the contrast between iman and taslim, that these people have taslim, they have submitted, they have become Muslims, the Badwis, but the iman has not entered their hearts. And at another place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it's not sufficient, that if you say that we have iman and you will not be put to practical situation, so that you deal with the situation and submit to Allah according to his laws. So iman and taslim go together. Iman first and then taslim. And on the second side and the other side, taqwa and hidayat, they have to go together. Hidayat is there, but for that, in my view, my humble submission, the important requirement is taqwa. If, for example, we have seen in many cases, in our leadership particularly, that they have no taqwa, although they claim they believe in Quran, they have Quran, they know the hidayat, they know the law, they take oath under the constitution, and still they violate because there is no taqwa. So here I will place taqwa first. That is a connectivity, that is connection, that is consciousness of God. So it is, if we want to place in a linear explanation, or in a vertically linear explanation, starting from iman, taslim, taqwa, hidayat, so that it works in the nafs, that is the prime mover of the vehicle, and that it has a lot of gadgets there which he can use which so some of them I have mentioned, and there are many more.
Thank you very much, Jazakallah. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I took so much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have enlightened me. You have educated me, and you have given many add-ons, particularly when you highlighted that from darkness to light, if we translate it, is from ignorance to enlightenment. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair, Justice Shahzado. I think we are going to turn off, but I'll just add just a light thing, small things. And this is, if you look to the first verse in the Quran after Fatiha, it actually said that taqwa comes first, because ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So the book, the whole Quran, have no guidance except to those people who have taqwa. So you put in that sequence, I think in my mind, that you have to come with basically pure heart and fear of Allah to understand and apply. So, wallahu a'lam. So, anyway.
He has to come with a connectivity, consciousness.
Yes, okay. Salam
Thank you. Thank you. Salam alaikum. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much for adding all these additions, clarifications, and making it more understandable. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Salam alaikum.
Thank you. Salam alaikum. Salam.